Hey, did you know that we make judgments of people in 2 seconds of seeing them? And guess what judgment I used to make? Man, I hate this guy. I used to be the biggest hater. For me, a hater was someone who was wrong, someone who was mistreated, misunderstood. And in my darkest moments, it felt like everyone was out to get me. I became overly perceptive of any negative trait that people around me had. I became wary of the dangers they posed to me. I became egotistic, pessimistic, and often lashed out at people. Naturally, I didn't have many friends. This gave me hundreds of hours to ponder and reflect on myself and my hater mentality. After looking at countless scientific studies, interviews, Reddit forums, videos, and even counseling some of my other hater friends, I found two key mindsets that you can use to overcome this hater mentality. Over the years of hating on people, I've come to realize that hating on someone is one of the most narrow-minded, egotistical, but funnily ironic things one can do. It's narrow-minded because you hate someone for their flaws without realizing your own flaw of hating on people. It's egotistical because when you hate people for their flaws, it means you expect them to not be flawed. And even more so, it's ironic because your greatest flaw as a hater is hating on someone for their flaws. It is this realization of each of these qualities that have helped me come up with these two key mindsets that I use to overcome my hater mentality. When I first went about resolving this issue, I asked myself this very simple question. So simple that I'm sure you've never thought about it before. Or if you have, it's something that you thought about for a few minutes and forgot about it. It made me go on a long night of questioning my morals, and I can guarantee that when you first hear this question, you think you know the answer, but upon further reflection, you question yourself harder and force yourself to answer questions that require you to tap into your most deepest, most fundamental values and desires. And for me, amongst all the values that I believed in, the one I valued the most was open communication. Ready? Here's the question.
What's wrong with hating others?
Is it not obvious? It's bad.
Yeah, but what about it makes it bad?
I suppose it's because it imposes an incorrect identity on others.
So what?
Well, if you falsely judge others for something that they are not, it's, well, a misunderstanding.
And what's inherently wrong with that?
I don't know, you tell me.
Nothing,
What?
but also everything. You see, it's justifiable to judge someone. After all, it's human nature, and even more so to misunderstand them. It's just brain circuitry that makes connections between glasses and nerdy, sloppy and delinquent, sharp jawline and giga chat. The real issue with hitting on someone is that only you stand to lose from it. Hatred consumes you mentally and emotionally. It distorts your thinking, makes you rationalize irrational thoughts, which just breeds distrust, overthinking, and puts you on high alert all the time, which in turn just goes back to draining you mentally and emotionally. You become this black hole drawing from the negative energy around you, an abyss whose personality embodies hatred and whose purpose is to seek revenge.
So, what are you trying to say?
You haven't realized? Let me ask you another question. What do you want to do in life?
How is that even relevant?
Just answer that question.
Well, I haven't really thought about that.
Exactly.
Exactly what?
You've tunnel visioned. You've become so narrow-minded that you don't even realize that you have dedicated your entire life's purpose to get revenge on this one person.
Oh,
So, am I saying to find your purpose in life? Yes. No. Not quite. I wish it was that simple. You see, there used to be this guy I hated with all my heart. He was my closest friend, and he betrayed my trust, leading to struggles which made me want to end it all. Every time I went through one of those struggles, I told myself that I would never forgive him. I would rarely ever meet him in anything. Sports, academics, fitness. But yeah, I would spend months thinking about the moment I beat him in something. In anything at all.
So what happened?
Nothing. I forgave him.
What? Do you not hate him?
Not anymore.
But this guy was a narcissistic, egotistic, belittling trash. Why would you forgive him for what he did?
Because I realized he didn't hate me.
But you hated him, right?
I did.
Why does it matter whether he hates you or not?
Because it means there was no reason left to hate him.
But he wronged you. You're gonna just let that slide?
Well, yeah. Let me reframe your thinking. Answer this. Have you ever been in a conversation with a group of people about a topic you're super interested in? And before you know it, you end up interrupting someone mid-sentence.
Yeah.
Would you say you did it intentionally?
Obviously not. I respect people's opinions, even if it was someone who I really didn't like. I'm not an asshole.
Great, but did the person who you interrupt know that?
I guess not, huh?
Exactly. All that the person knows is that they got cut mid-sentence and that you meant to do it because his or her opinion doesn't matter, it's not value. It's a reasonable conclusion seeing that they think you don't make mistakes. But as for this person I hated, he wasn't perfect. They probably didn't intend to hurt me. They probably will come to regret and realize how much of an asshole they were. Even if they did intend to hurt me, they'd already forgotten about it. You must forgive them for not being perfect because the first to apologize is the bravest. The first to forgive is the strongest. And the first to forget is happiest. Forgive others not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace.
Typically, if this was some Reddit story, there would be some sweet revenge or downfall of this person, but those Reddit stories aren't typical. The only thing typical in this case was that we were both typical people leading typical lives, making typical mistakes with typical flaws. What happened was that I gave up trying to be better than him. A year after the incident, I talked to him. He didn't intend to put me down with all those comments he made. He didn't intend for me to get distant from my friends. He didn't intend for me to go through all these struggles. And hearing that, there was nothing left for me to do than to forgive him. After all, how could I be upset with someone for something that he did over a year ago, and even more so for something that they didn't even intend to do?